off, but one that could make all the difference. Cervical screening can detect early changes before cancer develops, yet uptake in Scotland has fallen. In tonight's report, Laura Boyd has been speaking to a mum who was diagnosed in her 20s despite having no symptoms. She's urging others to get checked.
Everybody thinks it's not going to happen to them, but cancer does not discriminate at all. It doesn't matter what age you are or anything along those lines.
A decade ago, Vicky Riddler was a busy young mum building her career as an estate agent.
My 20s were a lot of fun. I was very much a career girl, but I was also a single mum. Life was going great, or what I thought was fantastic.
At 23, shortly after the birth of her second child, a routine smear test found abnormal cells. Vicky was monitored twice a year for 4 years before being invited for treatment.
So I never thought anything of it, and it wasn't painful, it wasn't anything, it was just I sat and watched it happen. And the consultant at the time said to me, "Listen Vicky, I think we've got everything, you've seen it. We'll get the results of the biopsy and that might be it." And it was 2 weeks later that I got the call, and I never actually expected the call, and it was very straightforward and very direct. It was, "We've got the results of your biopsy. The consultant wants to discuss with you. Please come in tomorrow. Please make sure you bring somebody with you."
As soon as they said that, did you know? Cervical cancer affects the cervix, the entrance to the womb. Most cases are linked to a common virus called HPV. It usually causes no symptoms but can lead to cancer developing over time. Screening or smear tests can spot cell changes before they turn cancerous. And when found early, it's highly treatable. Unfortunately for Vicky, a biopsy revealed cancer in her cervix. What were the next stages for you?
There was already talk then of hysterectomy.
And you're so young.
I know. And I was so lucky because I did have my children.
Vicky then faced an agonising 4-week wait for an MRI to determine what treatment she would need. What were those 4 weeks like?
Terrible.
Yeah.
Everything felt enormous at that moment in time. There's no answer, and it's probably one of the periods that was the most difficult.
Yeah. At just 27, she was trying to come to terms with life-changing surgery.
The plan was hysterectomy. It was mentioned to me right at the very beginning, but it was mentioned to me at that point. And I did say to her at the time, I was like, "Is there anything else apart from that?" Because see, at 27, hearing this, hysterectomy felt like something an older woman would have.
Vicky's 7-hour surgery was a success. How were you after that? I mean, did you need further treatment?
The 2 weeks later, I went in to get my catheter out and get the news, and it was great because no further treatment was needed, I was told at that point. And honestly, probably the closest thing that I could think of with how a lottery, like feeling like you'd win the lottery, that felt like.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yes, I can just focus on getting better and recovering better and everything else. But recovery was tough.
I mean, obviously it's physically tough, but it's so mentally tough as well, isn't it?
I really broke. Like, there's no really an explanation for it. Who I am and what I am, I sort of lost. I didn't want to do anything. I just felt completely alone in quite a dark place. And it wasn't until really understanding how bad that I'd got, I was diagnosed with PTSD.
With help from a counsellor, Vicky started to make sense of what she'd been through. You've rebuilt your life. How has that been?
There's so many different changes in my life, and for me as a person, my mindset completely changed. And I think there was so much of me that just didn't really appreciate what I'd been through. And I think something like that makes you just appreciate your life that you've got.
Cervical cancer is one of the most preventable cancers, but just 55% of women are attending their smear test. The target is 80%. Dr. Tasman Summerfield is Director of Medical Screening for Scotland. The number of women participating in screening has fallen. over the past few years, hasn't it?
Yes, the numbers have fallen. That's being seen across the whole of the UK and other parts of the world as well. So that does concern us. We really want to get these figures up. We know that the rates have fallen most in younger women and also women from more deprived areas.
Scotland plans to eliminate cervical cancer by 2040, but that relies on both vaccination and screening.
Even if someone's had the vaccination, they should still come for cervical screening, because cervical cancer can be caused by different types of HPV, and the vaccine covers the main types that cause cancer, but not all of them. We want people to be vaccinated, we want them to come for the cervical screening when they're invited, but also we're really aware of symptoms in between screens, and if they've got any concerns, to get them checked out by the doctor.
There is a pilot scheme for women to test themselves for HPV, targeting those who haven't been participating in cervical screening. Tasman, can you show me the self-sampling kit?
There's two things in here. There is this tube of liquid, and there is also a swab, which just looks like a cotton bud. There's good evidence from other countries that use self-sampling that it does help to improve uptake. The standard cervical screening test is still the best test to have, but this is a useful extra step for women who find it harder to engage in screening.
Jade Goody's death from cervical cancer last March at just 27 raised awareness of it to new heights.
High-profile cases and women sharing their experience can have an impact. The reality star Jade Goody was diagnosed in 2008 and died just a year later at the age of 27. Her story brought the dangers of cervical cancer into sharp focus and prompted more women to come forward for screening. And do you think people like Vicky, who are brave enough and open enough to share their stories, helps in the uptake as well? But when you hear real life stories, it kind of puts it at the forefront of your mind, doesn't it?
Definitely, and we're tremendously grateful to people like Vicky who share their stories. That makes such a difference.
Vicky is passionate about sharing her story to help other women. To anyone who thinks they might have signs, symptoms, who's not sure, or who's maybe missed a checkup or smear, what would you say to them?
Please book that appointment. Please go. That couple of minutes of not feeling comfortable will give you peace of mind. And if you are one of these people that are receiving those letters, or you're in your mid-20s or anything along those lines, you are in the best possible place for help. There's always somebody there that can help you, but please, 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 please do not ignore it.
Laura Boyd with that report. Well, to find out more about the importance of cervical screening, we spoke to Hayley Brown from Cancer Research UK. So we've heard from Vicky in the package there how important it is to get screened, but the number of women going for screening has dropped to 55%. Why is that?
There's no one reason why we're seeing this drop. Taking up screening really is a choice, and people have many reasons for making that choice. At Cancer Research UK, it's our job to help increase that. We want to remove barriers to screening, so we want people to know that even if you've got no symptoms, that's what screening's for. We want people to take up that choice. We want people, even if they've had the HPV vaccine, we do want them still getting screened, so that could be some of the reasons. But the vaccine itself is expected to prevent up to 90% of cases of cervical cancer, which is fantastic, but screening is going to help us catch that remaining percentage.
Yeah, because I think if you dig down into the stats, it's younger women and women from deprived areas who aren't coming forward for the screening, and that reinforces this idea that people, once they get the vaccine, think that's it, I'm safe, but we have to really emphasise that that's not the case.
Yeah, absolutely. In that age group, in the last 10 years, we've seen cancer incidence stabilise, but that could be that we've not seen them coming forward for screening. So we really want to encourage people that even if you've had the HPV vaccine, it's really important to attend your screening as well.
Yeah, and if you go for a screening and cancer is detected, if it's found early, it's so treatable. I mean, it's an outpatient visit, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Screening offers us the opportunity to spot those HPV infections at their earliest stage, to get those abnormal cells before they turn into cancer. Think of it as catching the bank robber before he's even in the bank. if you're trying to chase the getaway car, it's so much more difficult. So we want to catch people at that very earliest stage where it's much more treatable.
Yeah, I mean, it's so worthwhile doing it. And I know Cancer Research UK have got a really helpful helpline and a nurses helpline. We can see the number on the screen now. So what kind of support can people get?
Our Cancer Research UK nurses are just so important, such an important service we offer to anyone who has any questions at all, whether it's for themselves or for their family, over prevention, detection, diagnosis and treatment of cancer. They're there Monday to Friday 9 to 5 to answer any questions you might have.
Yeah, and you've seen them working at firsthand and you think they do a great job.
They're a delight to talk to on the phone, so if you've got any questions at all, they're there for you.
Now, it's Scotland plans to eliminate cervical cancer by 2040. That's only going to happen though if loads of women come forward for screening.
Absolutely, we have that potential to eliminate it inside the next generation, but it's only going to happen with that two-pronged approach. We need people coming forward for that HPV vaccination programme, but we also need people taking up their screening invites as well. And if we can do that, we've got a real potential to help more people live free from the fear of cancer.
Fantastic. OK, Hayley, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
No problem.
Time now to run the rule over stories that have been making headlines over the past